The United States Holocaust Memorial Museum opened its doors in 1994 and is located on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. The museum was established to remember the victims of the Holocaust and to educate the nation and the world about one of the darkest chapters in human history. The museum's collection will double in the next decade as it races to rescue at-risk evidence. The museum teaches that genocide did not end with the Holocaust and that individuals today must act to prevent it and stop mass atrocities worldwide. I had the pleasure to meet and talk with Sherry Zvi, director of the Southeast Regional Office, to learn about her passion for the museum.
I'm Sherry Zvi. I'm the Southeast Regional Director for the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. The goal that we have as a regional office of the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington is to bring the museum out of its walls and into the region. The Southeast region is not just South Florida. It encompasses the entire southeast of the country, including Texas, and we really do count on our volunteers to help us. We're a very small staff, but we do a big job. We have lots of events.
The United States Holocaust Memorial Museum brings public programs to regions across the country to educate the public and feature guest speakers and their stories.
I take the research class at Spanish River High School, which basically is about writing research papers using information that you find out about the Holocaust and the different events. When I found out that the United States Memorial Museum in DC has programs down in Florida, I thought it was a really good way to try and get involved and volunteer with something that I just was learning about and was really interesting, and that I knew there was a lot to find out about it. For the past couple months I've gone and volunteered at programs that they have throughout the year with a couple of my friends, and it's something that's really interesting and fun, and I've learned a lot from.
It's not just about what happened to the survivors or the people who perished and who were murdered during that time, but it's also about wonderful feel-good moments of people finding collections that someone donated, and it's linking them to another family member somewhere else around the world. There are just so many different elements and facets and layers to the museum, which I find to be really compelling and interesting and emotionally impactful to me, and also to all of the people who come and participate in those programs.
I'm Robert Tannen, the Associate Director for the Southeast Region of the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. This is an institution that was founded, in fact, in 1979 through an act of Congress, which stated that our government would agree that there would be a permanent memorial for Holocaust memory and preservation in Washington, D.C. The museum opened in 1994. We're a few years away from our 25th anniversary. 90% of those that walk through the walls of the museum are non-Jews. One might think this is a story about the Jewish people, and of course, the Holocaust largely is. Many people believe that this is specifically a Jewish story and only applies to the Jewish people. Well, of course, the Jewish people were the most affected by the Holocaust, by a very, very significant number. The lessons of what took place can apply to anyone, can apply today. And it really speaks to the power of what can happen when the policies of racism and extremism and bigotry, and in this case anti-Semitism, seep into the government policies and ideals and eventually laws. The Holocaust did not start with shootings and gassings. It started with words. It started with comments and stereotypes about who Jews were perceived to be, what they were perceived to be doing. And slowly that became accepted in the wider society. Why did some people do what they did? Why did some choose not to do anything? Why did some stay silent? Why did some collaborate? Why did some help? It really makes you think internally, what would I have done if I was in that situation? It's very easy for us to say now in hindsight, oh, of course I would have protected my neighbors. Of course I would have saved others. The story of this history, sadly, there are many, many stories to tell, many that we'll never know. but our museum aims to tell as many stories as possible and to connect as many dots in this massive web as possible.
The Southeast Regional Office recently launched a new campaign called #RescueTheEvidence. The museum is currently in a race against time to collect and preserve this evidence. When the survivors are no longer with us, the evidence will be the sole authentic witness. To preserve it for perpetuity, the museum broke ground this spring to build a new collection center. It will feature specialized laboratories, climate-controlled vaults, and rooms for scholarly research and discussion.
The second building is being built outside of DC, which is called the Chappelle Collections and Conservation Center. And its goal is very simply to house the collection of record on the Holocaust, to preserve those tangible items that will be the last living witnesses of what took place when the survivor generation does in fact leave us.
The history of the Holocaust teaches us that individuals have the ability and the responsibility to confront hatred. The museum aims to inspire leaders and citizens worldwide to prevent genocide and promote human dignity. What you do matters.